Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Non-Sequitur, which is episode 5 of season 2 of Star Trek Voyager. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Star Trek Voyager, one episode at a time. In this video I cover the second season episode, Non-Sequitur. So Non-Sequitur is the episode in which Harry Kim wakes up to find himself back on Earth with his girlfriend. He's apparently in an alternate reality where he never went on Voyager. It was his friend Danny Bird who went there instead. And so he tries to figure out what the hell is going on because he has no idea how he got there, and trying to do some investigating, and he finds out that Tom Paris never went to Voyager because he got arrested at Deep Space Nine, and he goes to look up Tom Paris, who is a drunk and has a shitty life. And so as he investigates, Starfleet thinks that he is a Maquis spy, and they start investigating him. Eventually, the local coffee owner, shop owner, comes up to Harry Kim and admits that he's an alien that lives in a different pocket of time, and his shuttle interrupted that and disrupted the time stream, and that's how he ended up there. And Harry Kim wants to know how to recreate the accident to get back to his rightful time, but the coffee owner guy doesn't know how to do it. So Harry Kim has to enlist the help of, he does give Harry Kim some coordinates, so he enlists the help of Tom Paris, and they run away from Starfleet security to try to arrest them because they think they're spies, and they get a ship, and it blows up at the last second, but Harry Kim manages to reset the timeline. So when this episode first came out, I loved it. I thought it was, wow, this is one of the best episodes of Voyager. So good. Just because I was really into alternate timeline storylines, and I was like really excited that they were doing one on Voyager, and it was interesting seeing what would have happened if Harry Kim never went to Voyager and Tom Paris remained a drunk, and to see Harry Kim with his girlfriend. Yeah, and so I always thought it was a really, really great episode. And then later, I learned that most people thought it sucked. I was a little bit surprised to learn that. So, out of curiosity, I went to the IMDb and to see how lowly rated it was. I thought I remember seeing it in the bottom 5, but I looked it up and it's 30th to the bottom, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's certainly not good, but it's not like it's in the top 10 worst or anything. It's 30 worst, so yeah, it could be worse. But I did find out, and I didn't notice, I would have mentioned it, but the episode I reviewed last week, Elogium, that's 3rd to the bottom. Just behind Threshold in The Fight. I did not know that. I had no idea that that episode was hated so much. I gave it a 4 out of 10. I would have mentioned it when I covered that, but I just found that out. But anyway, so now it's not considered like absolute worst, but it's not looked on pretty fondly. So, and I will say, as I got older and I rewatched it, I sort of started, my opinion of it started going down, and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's, not the best thing ever just because they're doing an alternate timeline. And when I heard, why a lot of people didn't like this episode, I think their criticism made sense. Harry Kim, why is Harry Kim fighting so hard to get back to Voyager? Now that part I actually do think makes sense, but I'll circle back to that. But the other thing there that I do agree with, though, is that the Starfleet thinking that he's a Maquis spy, a little bit cheesy. You notice how Admiral Hayes is when Harry Kim was giving his presentation, he's like, I'm sick. Can we continue this later? He's like, no, unfortunately I had to leave to go patrol the neutral zone, so we won't have time. And then the next day, they bring Harry Kim in to suspect him of a Maquis spy, and Admiral Hayes is still there. What happened to having to go out and patrol the demilitarized zone? It wasn't neutral zone, it was the demilitarized zone. But anyway, Admiral Hayes appears in First Contact as well, the movie. He's the one that tells Picard about the Borg. But anyway, I don't know if he appears in the other time. But anyway, so yeah, I find it a bit off that Starfleet immediately jumps to you're a Maquis spy just because he's contacting Tom Paris. And he's looking up the roster of the Voyager crew. Now, they do say you use forge codes to access it, and he's like, no, they're not forged, they're my codes because I'm on Voyager. Also, they're extremely dismissive of his story about alternate realities, when I always gotta call bullshit when Star Trek does this, because alternate realities happen all the time in this universe. In universe, it could be like, there wouldn't be like, alternate realities, that shit's unrealistic. That is more likely you're a spy. That would be like, oh no, that's, happens practically on a daily basis with the Enterprise D. Another alternate reality? Oh, jeez. Like, I don't know, maybe they would have been a little suspicious of his story, but I don't think they would have dismissed that out of hand. As often as alternate timelines and weird timey shit happens all the time in the Star Trek universe, I find it hard to believe they would be this skeptical of it. But beyond that, though, the way that they instantly jumped to, oh, you're a Maquis spy, and they contrived the chase with the security, like chasing after Harry Kim and having a phaser fight and running, and they're like blowing up the ship and attacking the runabout to the point where they cause a warp core and blow it up. Like, that does seem when I look back on it, those stakes are really contrived. Really contrived. Just because he's talking to Tom Paris. Like, forget about the alternate timeline shit. Just because he's talking to Tom Paris means he's oh, you must be a Maquis spy. Like, that's ridiculous. Tom Paris was barely in the Maquis. And it was a while ago. And, yeah. And also, he's out of prison, so it's not a crime to talk to him. So, I don't know. Yeah. The whole thing was a little, it was contrived and a little bit ridiculous, and they, artificially created stakes so they could have a high-speed fight scene at the end of the episode, which to me, that's my biggest issue with it. Now, to circle back about Harry Kim wanting to restore the timeline, which means that he would not be home, and that he would not be with the woman that he loves. This I buy, because survivor's guilt is a thing. And he knows that his comfort, his luxury, his life at home with his girlfriend, who is in this timeline his fiancée, comes at the expense of not one but two people. His friend Danny Bird, who took his place on Voyager, the all-screen Danny Bird that we never actually see. It's funny, I was listening to Delta Flyers podcast, and they were kind of making fun of, who is this Danny Bird? How's he your best friend? I thought Tom Paris was your best friend. But no, it comes at the expense of Danny Bird and Tom Paris, because Tom Paris's life was ruined. He's a drunk and depressed and still thinks of himself very lowly, whereas in his timeline he's like a Starfleet officer, he's a valued member of the crew, he restored his confidence, and and now I get that some people don't buy that Tom Paris would immediately become a drunk just because he got kicked off of Voyager, but I don't think it's the most, out there scenario. I'm willing to buy it. I'm willing to go with it. So yeah, survivor's guilt is a thing. I think Harry Kim couldn't live with himself knowing that his pleasure that his life of luxury comes at the expense of 2 other people. He just couldn't do it. And that makes sense, that he's that kind of guy, that he just wouldn't be okay with it. Now, granted, he does go above and beyond to try to restore the timeline to the point of risking his life and becoming an outlaw, which, has a second contrived storyline. But I totally buy that he'd be willing to go out to do that, to save 2 people's lives. And yeah, I buy when the coffee shop owner is, oh, why don't you just, you have a good life with a good woman, why don't you just be happy where you are? I understand why he would be like, no, because you fucked up the timeline. Now, and let me be clear, they never state this in this episode, but because of what Star Trek always does, I'm certain that this is not like a Star Trek 2009 situation where it created another timeline. No, from everything that's Star Trek and from how they treat this episode, this is the one timeline that has changed. Like Back to the Future, Harry Kim's timeline that we've been watching, where Harry Kim was on Voyager and Tom Paris was on Voyager, that timeline is erased. It doesn't exist. It's replaced with this timeline. And I think that makes a difference, because that further motivates Harry Kim to be like, no, this is fucked up. Like, this completely ruined 2 people's lives. And, the Danny Bird is the one who should be having a life on Earth. And Tom Paris shouldn't be, have his life destroyed. So I totally get that he would not be willing to live with himself. That he couldn't live with himself, even if it meant that he could be with his girlfriend and his family. Which he does never contact his parents. I'd like to think that happens off screen. But, I mean, they could have had a brief scene with him calling his mother. I mean, that's all you really need to sort of play lip service to that. He is shown to be a mama's boy, but granted, most of that comes after that episode, or this episode, but some of it was before. Yeah, I think that, now granted, like, he's showing, like, that he is in love with Libby. And that's part of why I like this episode. I like seeing Libby and the life he could have had and how much they actually do love each other. And I think this actress does, I wanted to say a good job. I mean, there's some line reads that I think sound fake, but for the most part, in terms of her relationship with Harry Kim, I do think that's selling the relationship and how much they love each other. I think that does absolutely come across. And this actress apparently was the same one who played the half Romulan, half Klingon in the episode Birthright that Worf was getting it on with, which makes me feel a little bit better because she's shown as clearly older in this episode, but in that episode is playing like a 16-year-old. Worf was getting with her. I was like, But yeah, I think she does a much better job in this episode. I didn't like her performance at all in Birthright. But yeah, that's part of why I love this episode, or why I loved this episode. I used to love it. I like it now. I still like it. I still think it's a good episode. Maybe not like one of the best episodes ever, but I totally don't think it deserves all the hate that it apparently gets. I think people, like I say, I disagree with their, Harry Kim, why is Harry Kim fighting this so much? No, I totally get why he's doing it. I think that makes total sense for his character. In fact, I would argue it would totally go against his character if he was like, oh yeah, coffee shop guy, you're right, I'll just enjoy my life, fuck Tom Paris and fuck Danny Bird, they can go screw themselves, I'm gonna, go home and have sex with my girlfriend. Like, no, he would not do that. That would go totally against his character. And yeah, I think seeing Harry Kim and what it would be like, I like how he was kind of resistant at first is like, I'm Harry Kim of the Starship Voyager. He just thought it was a alien illusion or something like that. But she was like, no, I'm really me and I'm really Libby. And I think they have some really sweet moments with each other that totally sell their relationship. Apparently, I was hearing Garrett Wong give a first-hand account, and he was talking about how they had to do the kissing scene like 14, 15 times, and he was saying by the later takes that she was getting like really, really passionate. And I think the term he uses that it felt like that she was looking for his tonsils with her tongue, and he was saying that that's usually not like stage acting. You usually don't use tongues unless the script calls for it, and that it was a bit weird. And it's funny because Robert Duncan McNeil, his response to that was, well, I never actually feel that way. Like, when I stage kiss someone, it's completely devoid of feeling. It's just like if you murder someone in a TV show, you're not really a murderer. You don't feel like you're actually murdering someone. If you kiss someone, it's just part of the job. And that's an interesting perspective, because Garrett Wong also said when he went home and kissed his actual girlfriend, he was thinking, God, that actress is actually better kissing. And he felt a bit guilty about that. But it's funny because I never actually did a stage kiss myself, because I did do a little bit of like amateur acting, but I did some amateur directing where I wrote a script that called for actors to kiss each other. And did a couple short films, and I checked with them first. I'm like, you're cool with this? Like, I can rewrite it, and we can work around it. If you're not cool with it, like, actually there was a short film I did for school where it was in the script that this girl was supposed to kiss me on the cheek, and she was like, absolutely not. I'm like, are you not comfortable with it? She said, no. And I was like, fine. You don't have to. You're not comfortable. Although, like, part of it was like, oh, I don't think it works for the scene. I'm like, bullshit. It totally works for the scene. But you say you're not comfortable, and fine. Like, just, do something else that you're comfortable with. It's perfectly okay. And when I was directing the short films, I said the same thing. I was like, look, we can work around this if you guys aren't comfortable. And they're like, no, we're totally we're fine. We're all good. And I remember after I made that short film, people were watching and be like, there's a lot of kissing in this. And I don't think it was like a whole lot. I mean, getting a little off topic, but in the short film, the main character was like this woman who's supposed to be a very pretty woman, but she's actually a judge that judges an 18-year-old's life, and if she found him to be wanting and not deserving to like go up into the higher levels of society, then she would kiss him and basically be the kiss of death. That kiss would kill him, which is what happened. So kissing was kind of integral to the storyline in that particular scene, and they were cool with it. As I said, they're like, no, we'll do this. But apparently, and I was friends with the lead actress who did the kissing in that scene, and she was saying like that she was starting to have feelings for the actor that she kissed, and because she also played his girlfriend in a stage play as well. I think it was Midsummer Night's Dream, and I think they had to kiss in that as well, so it was the second time, and she had a boyfriend at the time. So I think developing feelings, even if it is like stage kissing, and I think that's natural. I think maybe like some people are like Robert Duncan McNeil, and they think of it as like giving someone a high five or something very simple. It's just part of the job, and I think most people feel that way. But I think sometimes it might be hard not to feel that way, because you have a lot of instances where they're actors who play like girlfriend, boyfriend, or husband and wife who actually end up having a relationship in real life. Like, this happens all the time. There was like Jon Snow and Ygritte. I think they're still together as far as I know. And like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, I think they got together after Days of Thunder. Like, you hear about it all the time. And then there's also in Deep Space Nine, there was Alexander Siddig and Nana Visitor. Now, we don't know for sure if their relationship started after the episode Fascination when they were making out, but a lot of people speculate. The timeline matches up. So, so I think, I don't know, it's kind of an aside, but I kind of agree with, more with Garrett Wang. I think, I don't know, maybe some people, it's hard not to catch feelings sometimes, even if you know that you're just doing it as pretend, you're just stage acting. I could get that. I think that would make sense. But anyway, that's kind of an aside. Maybe that's why I think their relationship was sold so much. Maybe they kind of caught feelings for each other. Maybe, I don't know. I can't say for certain, but I just think that, yeah, it was really interesting seeing this girlfriend that Harry Kim mentioned briefly in the first season, and how if he had stayed, they actually would have gotten engaged. And so it shows you how serious it is. And so now I kind of think Tom Paris is such a dick for being like, let her go. Now I feel like, yeah, you're a real dick, Tom. And he's just doing that so he can get some tail. So, yeah. But by the way, when Harry Kim was doing his little role-playing thing with her and being like, pretend haven't seen you for months and months, and I've been away on the starship and haven't seen you, and she's like, you know, she plays into it and they're joking around, and she's like, you didn't happen to stop by Ryza and hook up with another girl, did you? And he's like, no, I'm afraid not. No Pleasure Planet excursions for me. Liar! I was going to call him out. You're lying, because there was the episode Prime Factors, which undoubtedly was a pleasure planet. The whole point of it is the dude going, I want to give you pleasure. That was a pleasure planet. And you, Harry Kim, went down to that planet and almost hooked up with another girl. This girl was crushing on you hard out. Now, granted, I don't think anything happened because you nerded out over the stupid piece of technology that could get Voyager home, possibly, and kind of like ignored where you definitely could have gotten laid. But so I think you did pass it up, but you're still lying when you say there was no other girl and there was no other Pleasure Planet excursion. Liar. But anyway, no, I totally bought the relationship, and at the end where she was like begging him not to go, and he had to like be like, I can't live my life knowing that it's at the expense of two other people. Totally bought that. Totally. Yeah, I think that might be about it, what I have to say about this episode. The whole thing with the coffee shop owner being well, it's kind of an Italian stereotype, but also it's like, the whole thing is about, we're just aliens. They just came up with a bullshit excuse just to get the timeline altered like as quick as possible. And like, oh yeah, sure, we live in this time stream and you fucked it up. And maybe some people hold that against the episode too, but that's no different than Parallels. Parallels did something similar. It's like, oh yeah, there's just some anomaly that you happen to come across that fucked up the parallel universe thing and time stream or whatever. It's actually very similar. So I don't have an issue with that. So I would now like to thank my Patreon supporters very much for supporting me on Patreon. Very much appreciated. This helped me continue with the channel. I want to give a big special thanks to Jordan Johnson and Brandon Neal Howells. Thank you so very, very much for your strong support. I also like to give a shout out to Tyler Cease, Benjamin Mead, Antarius, Greg Marley, Francisco, Chuck Hooks, Kyrie091, Anthony D. Benedictus, Ricky, Matty Jester, Joe Lavals, Alessandro Miguelicio, Norman Buckwald, Stephen Kennedy, Brenton Berg, and Allison Fordyce. Thank you also very, very much for your support. So let's go ahead and jump into some Patreon comments on this episode. First comment is from Tyler Cease, who says, general impressions, how do you feel about the premise of Harry Kim waking up in an alternate reality where he never joined Voyager? Was it compelling? Was it a compelling what-if scenario? Did the episode effectively convey Harry's Kim a disorientation and struggle to understand what was happening to him? What do you think of the pacing of the episode? Did it hold your interest throughout? Specific plot scenes, specific plot/scene points. The glimpse of the 24th century San Francisco and Earth, was it interesting to see? Did it align with your expectation of the Star Trek future? Harry's interactions with Libby in this alternate timeline, did this relationship feel believable? The portrayal of alternate reality Tom Paris, how do you feel about seeing him in such a different light? Did Robert Duncan McNeil's performance land for you? The reveal of Cosmo and the explanation for the temporal anomaly, was the explanation satisfying, or did it feel a bit like technobabble solution? Harry's decision to try to return to Voyager, given the life he had on Earth, did his choice make sense to you? Was it noble or perhaps a bit irrational? The sequence where Harry and Paris steal the runabout to try to recreate the accident, was this exciting or tense part of the episode? Character focus. This is very much a Harry Kim centric episode. How well do you think Garrett Wang carried the episode? Did it give his character more depth? The dynamic between Harry and alternate reality Tom Paris. What did this show about their friendship in the primary timeline? Themes and ideas. The theme of the road not taken. How well did this episode explore the idea through Harry's experience? The concept of identity and belonging. Did the episode make you think about where Harry truly belongs? The portrayal of Starfleet Command in this episode. Did their reaction to Harry's claims seem realistic within the Star Trek universe, or overly dismissive? Overall, where would you rank this episode among Season 2 of Voyager? It is Non Sequitur, an essential episode of understanding the character of the series. What were the episode's biggest strengths and weaknesses? Alright, so let me tackle a lot of questions. So let me tackle them. How do you feel about the premise of Harry Kim waking up in an alternate reality? Was it a compelling what-if scenario? Yes. Yes, I do. And I think this is why I really liked the episode at first. As I said, there's some issues on how it was executed, but overall I did find it a compelling what-if scenario. Did the episode effectively convey Harry's disorientation? Absolutely. Yes, that I bought. I mean, if anything, they played into it a little too much, but I think it really worked. What do you think of the pacing of the episode? Did it hold your interest throughout? Pacing was fine. I didn't have any issues with it. It wasn't like great, but it was okay. Glimpse of 24th century San Francisco. Yeah, this is interesting, and I think some people had issues with how it's portrayed here. I do like how they showed it with streets, and I can imagine this is probably a set on the Paramount lot. But I like how the streets all had plants in them, and they had like underground transport facilities, like kind of like a subway. They didn't specify exactly what this was, but I'm sure it was like, maybe it was underground transport, or maybe it was local things. I think if they had like more flying shuttles and stuff, it would have sold it more. But if it's a modern track, I know they would have done that, but with this, they don't really have a budget. So I didn't really have an issue with it, with the budget they had. I know some people expected more, it to look more realistic and not so 20th century, but look, they only have so much money for each episode. Harry's interaction with Libby in this alternate timeline, does this relationship feel believable? Yes, 100%. The portrayal of alternate reality Tom Paris, how do you feel seeing him such a different? Did Robert Duncan McNeil's performance land for you? Yeah, if anything, I think they kind of oversold it, but it was okay. The reveal of Cosmo, the explanation, was it satisfying or a bit of technobabble? Technobabble, 100%. It was just a bullshit excuse so they could have a plot. Harry's decision to return to Voyager, did this make sense to you? Was it noble or a bit irrational? As I said, 100% it made sense. This is the part I totally buy. I think he had survivor's guilt. The sequence where Harry and Paris still the runabout try to recreate the accident was an exciting part of the episode. No. That was a bit contrived. That was part of my issue with it. Very much a Harry Kim-centric episode. How do you think Garrett Wang carried the episode? Did it give his character more depth? He carried it very well. I've always said that Garrett Wang is a very good actor. He's just... they don't always write for Harry Kim very well. This is an example they did, and I think it absolutely gave his character more depth. Dynamic between Harry and alternate Tom Paris. What did they show their friend? Yeah, this was a bit cheesy, to be honest. This is the part where they kind of failed to sell me. Themes of the Road not taken. How well does this episode explore the idea of Harry's experience? Yeah, no, I think it explored it pretty well. Concept of identity and belonging. Did the episode make you think about where Harry Kim belongs? Not really. No. I don't think it's so much of Harry Kim wanting that he truly belongs in Voyager. I just think it's more to do with the fact that he can't live this happy life if it's at the expense of two other people. The portrayal of Starfleet Command in this episode, did their reaction to Harry Kim's seem realistic within the Star Trek universe? Overly dismissive, as I mentioned. Not realistic at all in the Star Trek universe. Where would you rank this episode among Season 2? Well, that I'm going to hold off until once I'm finished covering Season 2 and I do my ranking of Season 2. But it's not going to be top 5 or bottom 5. That's all I'll say. Is Non Sequitur an essential episode for understanding the character of the series? Nah, I don't know. Maybe, kind of. Because it explores Harry Kim's backstory with Libby, which is a really important aspect of his character. So, maybe. What were the episode's biggest strengths and weaknesses? Strengths was the relationship between Harry Kim and Libby and exploring Harry's character. Weakness was a contrived plot about, the time stream messed up, and we are a Maquis spy, and we had to have this contrived chase scene. Oh, and by the way, speaking of the contrived chase scene, I kept thinking, the Starfleet security kept beaming, to where Harry Kim is. Why didn't they just beam Harry Kim and Tom Paris away instead of beaming to their location? They could have at least introduced, we're having this teletransporter blocker thingy that stops them from transporting us. That's all you need to do. Have a piece of dialogue about that. Otherwise, why the hell didn't they just transport them? Anyway. So next comment is from Kyrie091. He says, Non Sequitur, more like Mom, this shitter. Mark, we are in the dark stretch of Voyager. We are in a series of episodes where I don't remember them at all. You'll have to tell me and Mom if it's shittier or not. On a scale of great this sucks to booty crap, how do you rank this one? I don't know. I think I rank it around poor sex. I don't think this is one of your best puns, to be honest. Maybe I pronounced it wrong. Maybe it's Mom, this is shittier rather than Non Sequitur. But still, I don't think this is a very good rank. Sorry. Anyway, next comment is from Ricky. He says, I know I said that Season 2 had a rough start and it doesn't become great until Persistence of Vision, but I actually like this episode. Not that it's a great episode, but it's a decent and nice alternate reality episode, and I like this Harry Kim episode, and especially to see what would have happened if Harry and Tom never were on Voyager, how that could have affected things. I also like the scenes with Harry and his fiancée. I could definitely feel the relationship overall. Pretty good episode, so my rating is a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I forgot to mention in the novel that they did where they showed Voyager after they got home, which is what the fucking show should have done, but instead of having to have a novel to goddamn do it. But anyway, that novel is so much better than Endgame, so much better. But anyway, in that much better novel, Libby was a character, and or maybe it was another novel that came after that. I don't know. In some of the novels, they showed Libby, and she was a member of Starfleet Intelligence, and that became a whole storyline with Harry, Kim, and Libby. And apparently, they kind of moved on from each other, and but they were trying to sort of reconnect. It was interesting, good, much better than that shitty finale. Anyway, next comment is from Norman Buckwell, who says, this is one episode where, looking back via the whole series, I step back and ask, why is this here? I mean, yeah, so far all we really have of Harry Kim as a character is a new, fresh-faced, squeaky clean member of Starfleet just out of the academy, now as an ensign and seriously homesick, but look what we have here. Does he ever call his mother, who he always claims through the series, stating he misses? No. Does he, with his training, try to speak with someone about being in another dimension, let alone, I don't know, letting someone know Voyager's out in the Delta Quadrant? No. I mean, yeah, temporal prime directive, but his choices to not tell anyone anything except maybe Tom? I mean, he really didn't even tell Libby really anything, is just too jaw-dropping and makes Harry Kim as a character preposterously naive, a male, sorry, I'm not sure what that word is, which, considering stereotypes of Asian men in media, is Berman-esque appalling. Then we have our Italian coffee shop alien to add to diverse mix, and oh no, the premise is what? Out of convenience? I mean, there's fan fiction that would do better justice out there, and yes, have Harry and Tom still be straight as Harry reaches out his friend to boot. LOL. What's here is a mess. Starfleet soldiers are kept from reaching Harry and Libby just standing right in front of them, and Tom so willing to do this out of nowhere. It's an embarrassing script, and in the long run, what does it represent? I can say easily the shoot is a better story of a test of these two guys' friendship than this absolute mess that we have here. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, Libby is never mentioned again for the rest of the series. One alternative dimension Italian coffee out of 10. Okay, so obviously 1 out of 10. Wow. So you represent that section of the fan base I was talking about that hates this episode. And so I do have to disagree. Now, I do agree about the ending chase scene and how ridiculous it was with, Libby just stands in their way and so like, oh, we can't go that way. That was a bit ridiculous, but and the whole ending sequence was contrived. But I'm sorry, this is a much better episode than the shoot. I'm going to have to totally disagree with you there. When we get to the shoot, I have major issues with the shoot. I think this is a better episode for Tom and Harry's character. But to be fair, I like this episode not for the Tom and Harry friendship, but for the Harry and Libby relationship. To me, that's what holds this episode together. Now, a few other things, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with you on. Does Harry try to tell anyone about it? Absolutely, he does. You're saying no. Actually, that's not accurate. He does. Now, he does take a while, and there's very good reason for that. A reason that pans out in the episode when he actually does do it. He's not believed. And you're saying, oh, he doesn't even tell Libby. He does. Now, granted, not immediately. It takes him a little while. But eventually she probes him. She's like, I know something's wrong. You got to tell me. And he does. And she doesn't believe him. Obviously. Now, eventually she's like, I think he does kind of sell her on it. And she at the very least believes that he believes it. Now, so I didn't have an issue with that. And also he does tell Starfleet, again, eventually, but that's after they suspect him of being a spy, so they think that he's just making this shit up. Now, granted, as I already talked about, I think he should be believed more, because this kind of alternate timeline shit actually happens all the fucking time in Star Trek. But granted, like, maybe it's common for, like, if you're on the Enterprise D, but not if you're on Earth. But still, I think that they should still be more open to it. Now, I will grant you that, but you are actually inaccurate to say that he didn't tell anyone. No, it would be more accurate to say he didn't tell anyone immediately. And I buy that he wouldn't tell anyone immediately, because he has no idea what's going on himself, and he's confused, and he knows that other people just think he's crazy. So I think the way it was portrayed in this episode actually makes total sense. And I don't think the script is a mess. I think the ending chase scene and the whole Maquis spy thing was contrived, but I don't think it's a mess. But that is just my humble opinion. But thanks for representing the large portion of the fan base that hates this episode. I think we might get another comment that represents that. Anyway, next comment is from Antarius, who says, I never liked and always skipped this episode. In my opinion, hasn't improved at all. First of all, this episode is boring. Secondly, I found the whole concept of the time stream, and especially the premise of recreate the situation, everything will be as before, hard to believe. Is the time stream created by the aliens, and for what purpose? How was the alien able to travel to Earth and adopt human form? It all remains unanswered. Why is Harry Kim alone in the shuttle after all this? He was lucky that there was no Kazon Nog around at the time. My rating is a 2 out of 10. Well, to answer your question is, how were the aliens to recreate the accident and solves everything, how the aliens able to go to Earth and imitate a human being, and how was why was Harry Kim alone? I do have an answer for all those questions. The answer is so the episode can happen. So the episode can happen. And you know what? I don't have an issue with that. To me, these are not important things. What's important is the character story of Harry and Libby, and Harry trying to do what's right by Tom. To me, that's what matters, but that is just my humble opinion. It's not like these things are totally nonsensical. It's just like convenient. Yeah, it happens because it happens. Go with it. As I said, like Parallels does the same thing. Parallels is like, oh, his shuttle just happens to hit this fissure that causes, like, that actually doesn't make any sense. But it's just there to create the story of the episode. So I'm willing to go with it. Anyway, next comment is from Stephen Kennedy. This episode would have been in my top 20 Voyager. However, someone hit the massive red button that is called the Divine Reset. This episode will have the same rating as before, but unfortunately most will not be saved from this fate. Some classics episodes will suffer from this fate, which includes 2 Weeks of Hell and Timeless. Both still are great episodes. However, I will hit my green button, which is called Downgrade City. Harry Kim should have stayed in this reality for one reason. He would have been he would have been promoted. If he knew he would have to remain ensign for 7 years, this is what Harry Kim would say. Feck that timeline and screw you, capital punishment, Janeway. I'm 100% convinced that Joe, I don't care about Canon Manowski, was the real brains behind Voyager. Maybe I'm in a different reality as I wrote that sentence, so my rating is 8. I wonder who replaced Tom Paris on Voyager. Maybe it was his evil twin, Nicholas Locarno, out of 10. So, you speak much more highly of the episode. They had to hit the reset button with this episode. This is one episode that doesn't bother me that they hit the reset button. They kind of have to. Like, they can't leave it so Harry Kim and Tom Paris never own Voyager. Like, that would completely ruin the show. So that, I don't think that affects my enjoyment of the episode at all. I think the reset button must be hit. Now, when we get to Year of Hell and Timeless, I disagree with you. I do not downgrade it at all because of the reset. Would both episodes have been better if they hadn't hit the reset button? Yes. Does that mean that the episodes aren't nearly as good because of it? No. And I did, when I did my live stream about Year of Hell, which is in my top 25 favorite episodes of the entire Star Trek franchise, we talked about how we didn't agree with people who complained about it for hitting the reset button. Like, it wasn't actually, because fucking yesterday's Enterprise hit the reset button. Why do people not care about that? Anyway, next comment is from Brandon Neil Howes, who says, non sequitur, more like what a stinker. One of the episodes where Harry Kim is never assigned to the USS Voyager, despite his memories to the contrary. He hears Janeway trying to contact him in order to make an emergency transport from his shuttlecraft and wakes up totally horrified next to his girlfriend Libby. It seems he is in a different timeline. Does he ring his mom and who misses him so much? Nope. Does he try and tell people where Voyager is? Nope. In this timeline, Harry is a whiz-kid engineer who designed some new kind of runabout, which just defies belief. Harry isn't a strong enough character to be a genius at anything. He has no chemistry with his girlfriend, who speaks in Stardate for some annoying reason. It's a long time since I had sex with anyone, but neither of us were wearing any clothes when we woke up the next morning. The stupidest thing in the episode is that Harry is able to bear Tom Betters, I think is what I meant to say, is able to better Tom Paris in a fight. Why are there subways and fire escapes and restraining ankle bracelets on the 24th century Earth? Vulcan Mocha, extra sweet. No, just no. Give the beverage a Vulcan name for fuck's sake. I don't think Vulcans would enjoy consuming anything extra sweet. If someone had told Harry Kim that he was going to have a nasty encounter with species ever 8472 in a couple of years, get an STD after a one-night stand with an alien, and a black mark on his permanent record, would that change his mind about returning to the timeline? 2, but I'm an ensign, not an engineer, out of 10. Again, a lot of disagreements going to be had with this comment from me. So, let's see. Again, the whole thing is, did he ring his mom who misses him so much? Nope. Now, I agree. He should have. But you can headcanon this, at least I can, to say it happened off screen. But should we have seen that on screen? Yes. Is it a major issue with this episode? No. Does he try and tell people where Voyager is? Nope. Now this, again, I have a major issue with this. Because no one would believe him. What is he supposed to say? Oh yeah, I was a Voyager in the Delta Quadrant. When he does, and he does, by the way, eventually tell them that, and he's not believed. Now granted, that's after they suspect him of being a spy, but still, if he went straight to, like, as soon as he woke up, he immediately called Starfleet and says, Harry, Voyager's in the Delta Quadrant, I know because there's an alternate timeline. They wouldn't have believed him. Now granted, I think they should have, as I talked about, but in this storyline, they didn't. So, and plus he would sound crazy. Like, even if they did, like, think of, time anomalies as a common occurrence, but again, not on Earth. Maybe if you're out in space, but he would sound crazy. And at the very least, like, they might not, like, institutionalize him immediately, but at the very least, they would, like, have him talk to a therapist, and, like, maybe someone would actually explore this possibility. I don't know, but I think it's unrealistic to expect him to immediately tell people about this crazy. And plus, he had no idea what was going on at first. And I actually think Harry Kim has been kind of described as a whiz kid, not an engineer, to be fair. He's not like the chief engineer, but I didn't really have any interest in that. And plus, so major disagreement, though, the biggest disagreement we have is the chemistry with his girlfriend. But that's just my humble opinion. I think they had amazing chemistry. It's why I liked the episode as much as I did. Also, being... So, just not, again, getting too personal here, but when I had sex with someone, I wouldn't stay nude the whole night. I would put my clothes back on immediately. That is just me, though. And so, especially if it's just sleepwear. Yeah, if we're going to sleep, and I would put my sleepwear on. I don't like sleeping in the nude. Again, I'm getting a bit TMI here, but point is, I totally buy this thing. And also it's very common in PG TV-friendly Star Trek to do that. The stupidest thing in this episode is Harry Kim able to better Tom Paris in the fight. What you have to remember is Tom Paris is a drunk in this timeline, and so totally buy he's able to be bettered. So fire escapes and bracelets and subways. So the subway, I think, actually makes perfect sense. Because I don't expect that there's a train underneath there. I expect that there's some futuristic thing, maybe a futuristic train, or like not even a train, maybe like transporters, something futuristic that lets people get to where they go. They just conveniently put it underground so they don't have to pay the money to put it on screen, which I'm totally fine with. And the fire escapes, okay, yeah, no, that is very antiquated. And also the restraining bracelet, okay, to be fair, I thought the same thing when I was watching the episode. It's like, wouldn't they just put like a tracker on him, or just something on him, like give him a shot of a hyper spray, like, look, we can track you from now on, rather than a restraining bracelet is very 20th century. Like, I don't really buy that at all. And the Vulcan Mocha, so my headcanon about that is that the Vulcan Mocha is not actually a Vulcan drink. It is a drink that someone from Earth named after Vulcan. They're like, oh, this is in the style Vulcan. But even if you say it's from Vulcan, I think they don't have to have it extra sweet. I think the humans would make it extra sweet because they don't like the taste of it. It's too bitter, so they would add shit to it to make it more sweet. Anyway, and yes, I think that Harry Kim would have still tried to get back to his timeline even if he knew that he was never going to get promoted and be attacked by species 8472 and get an STD, because it's not about him, it's about him living at the expense of other people, which I don't think he would have. So, yeah, I appreciate your comment. We don't always have to agree, and this is an example where we don't. So anyway, thank you so much, patrons, for your comments. So my rating for Non Sequitur out of 10 is a 7. Very good. You know, I was actually a bit tempted to up my rating to an 8, but I'll keep it at a 7 because I think the whole chase scene was very contrived. The whole, oh, you're a Maquis spy, was a bit ridiculous. That's my major issue with the episode. The whole thing about Harry Kim trying desperately to get back to his own timeline, as I said, survivor guilt's the thing. He doesn't want to live at the expense of two other people. Totally fits his character, makes the most sense in the world to me, and I love the chemistry between him and Libby. I think that's definitely the strength of the episode. It's the most interesting aspect of the episode. But yeah, Tom Paris thing was a little cheesy. Like, maybe it didn't come off the strongest, but yeah, I think it was a solid episode. It's not, like, again, not my favorite like it used to be, or not like amazing or whatever, because I do see flaws in it. But overall, I think it's a pretty strong entry to season 2. It's definitely the first good episode of season 2, because we had 4 like very poor episodes. It's the first episode I've given a positive rating to in season 2, because the 4 previous I gave 3 of them are 4 and 1 of them are 3. So yeah, this is the first good episode in my humble opinion. But yeah, it's the second episode made for season 2 that actually aired. I don't know if it's the second one made for season 2. I don't know the production order, but it's the second one that aired that was actually filmed for season 2 and not season 1, because 37s, Projections, and Elogium were all filmed for season 1. Initiations was filmed for season 2, so that was the first one. This is the second one. And the next week's episode is Twisted, which was another season 1. That would be the final episode that was filmed in season 1 to air in season 2. But anyway, that is it for my review of Non Sequitur. Thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment below, that sort of thing. And yeah, if you really like to support the channel, you could do so by supporting me on Patreon. There is a link down there below and then their description. And yeah, if you're inclined, if you're interested, there's different rewards, different tiers, such as I do a patron only series of videos exclusively for my Patreon supporters, where I revisit reviews of episodes I've already reviewed. And yeah, there's you can leave comments for me to read. There's pre-releases, stuff like that you can check out if you're interested. Alright, so let's see what's coming up next on the old channel here. So Thursday, I'll be doing one of those aforementioned patron exclusive videos, revisiting my review for The Way of the Warrior for the patron supporters. And on Saturday, I'll be back here on my main channel with a new review for the aforementioned Twisted. And then next Monday, be doing back on Patreon for another revisited patron exclusive video revisiting my review for The Visitor. So that's what's coming up on my channel. Be sure to check it out as I continue to cover Star Trek Voyager and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and many other videos on Star Trek and other shows as well. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.